The latest chapter in this rivalry belongs to...
Ravens flock rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans, Steelers fans? We got a hell of a game on Sunday. First place in the AFC North on the line. 1 p.m. game in Pittsburgh. Ravens are favored by 3. This is the game preview episode. We're going to take a look at both teams, both sides of the ball, see where the weaknesses are, the strengths are, and just give some final overall predictions and a final score prediction. But let's start with the injury reports. Main guys for the Ravens on here is Kyle Hamilton. He's probably truly questionable. He had a DNP on Wednesday. We know he's dealing with that sprained ankle in that Cincinnati game. It was a pretty bad sprained ankle. He's in a walking boot after the game, but he had some extra days to recover, and he got back to practice yesterday in a limited fashion. So we'll see whether Kyle Hamilton plays. It's obviously a huge piece for the Ravens defense. And then Arthur Millette got hurt in practice yesterday with a calf injury. He was in a walking boot after practice yesterday. I would imagine he's not going to play, but that's definitely a name to keep an eye on. And then I think everybody else is going to give it a go. I mean, Isaiah Likely's back to full practicing with that hamstring. Lamar Jackson's just rest, really. Travis Jones had a limited practice with the ankle, but the day before he had no injury designation, and he's been playing. So I think Travis Jones will give it a go. Brent Urban's back from that concussion. Kyle Van Noy's back from the illness. The Ravens are looking pretty healthy in this game. And then moving over to the Steelers, they got most of their guys too. We know Alex Highsmith is going to be out for this game. And then we got to keep an eye on cornerback CJ Henderson. He had a DNP yesterday. Cam Hayward's been getting rest, but I expect he's going to play. And then cornerback Dante Jackson and wide receiver Van Jefferson are probably going to be questionable after having DNPs and then limited practices. So outside of Kyle Hamilton and Alex Highsmith, the Ravens and Steelers are pretty much full go, which is nice to see because the Ravens have lost the last 7 of 8 to Pittsburgh, and Lamar hasn't played in 4 of those games. Now, last year, that last game was because we had already clinched, so we just benched everyone, but Lamar was also injured in previous matchups. So I know we're 1-7 in the last 8, but Lamar Jackson's only played in half of those games. So it's really nice to have fully healthy teams, or healthy for the most part, to go head-to-head, and I feel like this rivalry is back with first place on the line. We haven't been playing a lot of meaningful games. You know, the Ravens and Steelers rivalry is always kind of there, but in the last few years, they haven't really played with a lot of stakes on the line. So having first place in the division on the line, both teams have a great record this year, having a great season. This game's got a little bit more juice to it. We're going to start with the Steelers offense versus Ravens defense. Steelers offense is obviously led by Russell Wilson, George Pickens, Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, younger offensive line, going against a Ravens defense, especially their pass defense, that has struggled. You know, they're letting up 25 points a game this year, which is very foreign for Ravens fans. You know, we don't really understand it. We have a very talented defense. The defense is stacked. We've invested a ton of money over there on the defense, but the secondary has been struggling week after week. I saw Tomlin say earlier in the week that the Ravens secondary is ranked 32nd because teams are going one-dimensional and deciding to throw the ball a lot on them because our run defense is so good. And while I hear that, we're still letting up 25 points a game, which is 25th in the NFL. So it's obviously working. I mean, every team should just throw nonstop on Baltimore. You know, you can't be letting up 25 points a game. So definitely a weird matchup because the Ravens are usually led by their defense. I know with Lamar being here, it's been a little different, but the Ravens even last year had the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL, number 1 in points allowed, number 1 in turnovers, number 1 in sacks. And now we're at the back of the pack, so it's definitely a weird feeling. The Steelers offense has some chances through the air in this game, but I do like this matchup. You know, we're coming off a game where we were playing against Burrow and Chase, and I don't see a Jamar Chase over there. I don't see a Joe Burrow over there. I'm not disrespecting Russell Wilson. He's solid. George Pickens is a freak. but they're not Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. They don't have the same type of connection. So this game should play out a little bit differently than last week. I don't see an absolute air raid on our defense, but we'll see. You know, I've been surprised week by week here when the defense continues to let up points, but I really feel like this is a get-right game for this Ravens defense. The Steelers offense is not that complicated. They do like to run the ball. They like to max protect Russ. They use a lot of tight ends on the line of scrimmage. You know, we're great at stopping the run. I think we should keep it pretty simple. Play a lot of man, get physical with these receivers. They're not burners. You know, I know they got Calvin Austin, but George Pickens, Mike Williams, they're not burners. You can get up there and get physical with them, and we have good corners. You know, I know you're looking at that stat sheet at the 32nd ranked pass defense, but Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, Nate Wiggins, they can cover, man. They really can. Now, tracking the ball and making a play on the ball while it's in the air is a different argument, so I could see George Pickens winning some jump balls or, you know, having some spectacular catches over Brandon Stevens or something like that. That's definitely probably going to happen. But we're going to be in their face. We're going to be right there. It's going to be tight throw, tight coverage. And I think by playing a lot of man and just keeping our safeties deep, we're going to be confused less, because if you've been watching the Ravens, they're ranked 32nd because we let up these crazy blown coverages, you know, and a lot of that's in zone where a guy gets out of his assignment. So I think we should play a lot of man, keep it simple. This is my guy. Safety stay deep. Marcus Williams, just nothing over your head. And then obviously we're really good at stopping the run, so we got to continue that. We got to make sure that we slow the run game down, make them one-dimensional like we've made every single team this year. Every single team we've played this whole season has not been able to run the ball. The Steelers are going to want to run the ball, and I'm sure that they will try to run the ball a little bit more than most teams that we've played this year. And from a pass rush standpoint, I really don't think we should get too complicated with blitzes either. We should rush for, get some pressure from the interior, make Russ move. He's not good at throwing on the run. He has shown no success this year throwing on the run. His passer rating goes way down when he's got to move out of the pocket. So get some interior pressure with Matabike, Travis Jones, and then make Russ move out of the pocket. I trust our coverage downfield. And is Pickens going to come down with a few of those crazy ones? Yeah, he is. He's going to make some plays. I'm not saying we're going to absolutely shut them down. The weakness of the Ravens defense right now is this pass defense. But this is a game where we can contain this offense. I think this game can be a lot tighter than previous weeks against a really explosive, talented passing offenses. So I don't really see that from Pittsburgh. They run a simple offense. They're going to try and run a lot of go routes or fade routes out of the slot. You know, so watch out for Austin and Pickens running the slot fade. I think that that's going to be a huge factor in this game. And if you play tight man coverage on them, even if Austin or Pickens has a step on the corner, as long as the safeties are staying deep and not letting anything over their head, we'll have Marcus Williams shading over to kind of double team that go route or that fade route. So I think that that's the best way to play it. Take away the big plays. Don't let anything over your head. Make them inch their way down the field. Make them try and want to run the ball. This Ravens defense has all the opportunity in the world to get right this week, but opportunity is just opportunity. You know, would I be shocked if Pittsburgh has a lot of success through the air? No, because through 11 weeks, we do have the worst pass defense in the NFL. It's shocking. It doesn't make sense. You know, a Marcus Williams regression doesn't make sense. That's why I'm trying to say, like, simplify things. Just Marcus Williams, stay deep, man. Don't even worry about coming up. You know, I'll let up a 10-yard out route or a flat route. I'll let that up. Make them inch down the field. They're going to make a mistake. You know, play physical with them. I just think we need to eliminate these big plays. It really can be that simple. I know it's not going to be that simple. Pittsburgh's going to have some success, but I just think that on paper, this Ravens defense matches up really well against this Steelers offense, and this is the type of offense that we can contain to not score 30 plus on us. You know, can we hold them to below 20 or low 20s? I think that is a recipe for the Ravens to easily win this game. And the recipe for the Steelers offense to have success on this Ravens defense is the opposite. If we're not getting any pressure on Russ at all, if we're not making him move out of the pocket and he's got a lot of time, they do love to max protect. Like I said earlier, they got a young offensive line, so they're always going to have more tight ends on the line of scrimmage, chip blocking and things like that. It's hard to get a lot of pressure. So if we're not getting any pressure on Russ and he's just sitting in the pocket and has all day and our secondary's breaking down, then obviously there's going to be big plays downfield. If they can get the run game going as well, then we're definitely going to be a little bit off balance because we've been making every single team one-dimensional. We haven't played a team that has had a lot of success on the ground. So if the Steelers are able to run the ball and protect Russ, then definitely it's going to be a long day for the Ravens defense. So we'll see how it plays out. Moving over to the other side of the ball, the Ravens are on a historic offensive pace. I mean, Lamar Jackson leads the NFL in passing yards. Well, I guess he's second by only 3 yards, but Burrow has 70 more attempts. And then Lamar Jackson has 24 touchdowns and 2 picks to lead the NFL in passing touchdowns. Derrick Henry leads the NFL in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. This is a Baltimore Ravens offense that we've never seen before, that Pittsburgh's never seen before. You've never played against this dynamic of an offense. And then not to mention 2 top 25 receivers that people aren't even talking about. Zay Flowers is 5th in receiving. Bateman's 16th. I mean, when has this ever happened? You know, the Ravens have 2 go-to guys, and we just traded for Deontay Johnson, who Steelers fans know very well. He hasn't been that involved yet. He just got traded a couple weeks ago, so we haven't really thrown him in with too much responsibility. I'm not sure what his workload's going to look like in this game. I'm sure a little bit more than it has been, but he's definitely not going to be as involved as a Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman. But the Ravens offense is as dynamic as ever. 2 elite tight ends in Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. There's a lot to worry about with this Ravens offense. But the Steelers defense is real. You know, that front is insane. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, they just added Preston Smith. This is a front that we need to be very concerned about. We've played against some talented fronts and elite pass rushers, and they've wrecked the game. You know, Max Crosby wrecked the game in week 2. Myles Garrett had the most pressures on Ronnie Stanley when we lost to the Browns a few weeks ago. So this is definitely a front that can blow up multiple Ravens plays, get us in a lot of 3rd and longs, and stall this offense. But I think Highsmith being out is a big help. Ronnie Stanley is going to be able to contain a one-on-one matchup with Preston Smith or whoever they have over on the left side. And then we need to double Watt every single play. You know, we have a very young right side of the offensive line, rookie tackle in Roger Rosengarten, and essentially a rookie right guard. You know, he's never started before, in Daniel Falele. And they've both been inconsistent. You know, they show upside, especially Roger. I love his upside, but they've been inconsistent. So we need to make sure that we have full attention on TJ Watt every single play. That means tight ends chipping him, Pat Ricard on the line, blocking him to help out Roger. I think that TJ Watt needs to be as neutralized as much as possible. Is he going to make one play and get some crazy sack or something? Yeah, but we got to make sure that's not a strip sack. We can't be having turnovers. And I think the Steelers front is going to be able to slow our run game down quite a bit. That doesn't mean abandon the run game. I definitely want to commit to Derrick Henry early and often and throughout the game, even if it's not working that well, because we need to stay balanced for 2 reasons. We need the threat of play action to be real. You know, we need them to think that we definitely might be running the ball so that play action is more effective. And then we also will wear them down if we continue to run with Henry. When that 4th quarter comes, all of a sudden Henry is going to be able to bust some runs. We've seen it every week. I know the Steelers front is the most talented front that we've played, but Henry can bust open later in the game if we continue to run. So I do think that the Steelers are going to crash that line of scrimmage. They're going to get to Henry early. He's probably not going to have a ton of yards. I understand that, but stick to the run throughout the game. Stay balanced. And if we can contain Watt and keep Lamar protected for the most part, you know, they're going to get some pressure, no doubt. They're definitely going to get some pressure. But if we can protect Lamar, I love our wide receivers versus their corners. There's just no way that their corners are matching up against these wide receivers. People are sleeping on Zay Flowers. His separation is ridiculous. Bateman can run every route at a very high level. I think we can beat their corners consistently if left in one-on-one matchups. Not to mention our tight ends, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, against their linebackers. What up, Patrick Queen? Patrick Queen's a solid player, but you go to the opposition, I am fully rooting against you, especially in this game. So I hope Derrick Henry runs right through him. So I can't wait to see how that plays out. But to summarize everything, if we can protect Lamar, the Ravens offense is going to have a lot of success in this game. I mean, Lamar Jackson's playing out of his mind, and there's always a threat of handing it off to Henry. So the defense is constantly going to be focused on stopping the run, just like we are on defense. But the Ravens also can't beat themselves. Last year when we played Pittsburgh in week 5, we had 7 or 8 wide receiver drops, 3 or 4 touchdown drops. I mean, that changes everything, man. You know, we only scored 10 points, and we're dropping touchdowns play after play. So we can't beat ourselves with things like that or penalties, letting up things on special teams. You know, this is a very unique variable in this game. Pittsburgh has been making a ton of special teams plays this year. The Ravens have not. You know, Tucker's been off a little bit. We haven't really had explosive kick returns or punt returns. We haven't had a lot of blocks, and Pittsburgh is doing the opposite. So we definitely need to make sure that we are not letting up a punt return, kick return for a touchdown, or letting them block a kick or something crazy like that. Let's finish with a final score prediction. You know, historically, Ravens-Steelers games have been very tight, very close. I definitely expect this game to be close, but I don't expect it to be as low scoring. You know, Vegas doesn't either. I think the over-under is 48.5 right now. That may move a little bit, but that's not a low scoring game. And that's because the Ravens defense has been struggling to stop teams, and the Ravens offense is scoring at a historic pace. So that naturally leads to a higher scoring Ravens-Steelers game than we're used to. Last time we played them in week 5 last year was 17-10. I don't see a game like that happen, and the Ravens offense is not going to score 10 points, not this year. So my final score prediction is Baltimore Ravens 30, Pittsburgh Steelers 24. I think that this is a close game. It's going to be tight throughout, but I just think this Ravens offense is better than anything Pittsburgh has to offer. This Ravens offense is all time, man. It's putting up all-time numbers. It's a historic offense. If they keep this pace throughout the rest of the year, they could potentially be the number 1 offense in the history of football. That's not an exaggeration. So I just think this Ravens offense is so elite right now that they're able to score another touchdown more than Pittsburgh and continue to score 30 points a game. They're averaging 31.8 points a game right now. And I do expect Pittsburgh to give them some more struggles, especially probably earlier in the game. I hope we start fast, but I wouldn't be surprised if it takes a little bit for the Ravens offense to get going. But I think the Ravens offense is just that much better, man. And I think the Ravens defense does enough to slow this Pittsburgh offense down. Doesn't shut them down, obviously. I still think they scored 24 points. We're letting up 25 a game, so right on par there. I don't think that the Ravens defense completely shuts anyone down, but I definitely think that the Ravens offense scores more, and I got them winning this game, man. But let me know what you guys think. Ravens, Steelers fans, drop your score predictions, drop your bold predictions for this game. First place on the line. I can't wait for this Sunday, and I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Go Ravens, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Finish him!